The meeting was supposed to be about album artwork. Instead, it became the reason Robert Mitchell, senior vice president of A&R at Warner Bros. Records, was escorted out of the building by security and never worked in the music industry again. It was April 1989, and Madonna was in the middle of recording what would become her fourth studio album, Like a Prayer. She'd already established herself as one of the biggest pop stars in the world, with 3 successful albums, multiple #1 hits, and a reputation for pushing boundaries that made record executives simultaneously wealthy and uncomfortable. Robert Mitchell was 52 years old, a 20-year veteran of the music industry, and he'd built his career on a very specific philosophy. Artists were products to be packaged and sold, and the packaging was his department. He'd worked with everyone from Fleetwood Mac to Prince, and he prided himself on knowing exactly what the market wanted. What Robert Mitchell did not understand was that Madonna was not a product to be packaged. She was a brand that packaged itself, and he was about to learn that lesson in the most humiliating way possible. The meeting was scheduled for 2 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon in Conference Room B at Warner Bros. Records headquarters in Burbank. Madonna arrived 10 minutes early, wearing black leather pants, a white tank top, and a blazer. Her hair was pulled back simply, and she wore minimal makeup. She looked exactly like what she was, a successful artist coming to a business meeting. Robert Mitchell took one look at her and frowned. "Madonna," he said, not even greeting her properly, "we need to talk about your image." Madonna sat down, crossed her legs, and waited. She'd dealt with men like Mitchell before. She knew exactly where this was going. "Your album is going to be huge," Mitchell continued, settling into his chair with the confidence of a man who believed he was about to deliver wisdom. "The music is incredible. The songs are hits. But we have a problem, and I'm going to be frank with you because I respect you too much to sugarcoat it." Madonna still didn't speak. She just looked at him with an expression that gave away absolutely nothing. "You're too aggressive in your presentation," Mitchell said. "The leather, the provocative styling, the whole bad girl thing. It's limiting your market. We're getting pushback from radio stations, from retailers, from parent groups. If we want to take you to the next level, and we do, Madonna, we absolutely do, we need to soften your image." "Soften," Madonna repeated, her voice completely neutral. "Yes," Mitchell said, warming to his theme. "More feminine, more approachable. Think about it. Whitney Houston is selling millions because she's glamorous and elegant. Celine Dion is blowing up because she's relatable and warm. You have an incredible voice and incredible songs, but you're packaging yourself in a way that's alienating the mainstream." He pulled out a folder and slid it across the conference table. Inside were photos, magazine spreads of other female artists, all dressed in soft, feminine clothing. Pastels, flowing fabrics, soft makeup, conventional femininity. "This is what we're thinking for the album campaign," Mitchell said. "More dresses, softer hair, maybe some ballads in the live show instead of all the dancing and the staging. We want to position you as a mature artist, not a controversial figure. You're 30 years old now. It's time to grow up the image." Madonna looked at the photos, then she looked at Mitchell. "And if I don't?" Mitchell's expression hardened. "Then we have a problem. Look, Madonna, I don't make the rules. I just know what sells. And what sells right now is feminine, accessible, non-threatening. If you want to keep fighting the market, that's your choice. But Warner might decide that the investment isn't worth the controversy." "Are you threatening to drop me?" Madonna asked, her voice still eerily calm. "I'm telling you the reality," Mitchell said. "You have a contract, yes, but contracts can be reconsidered, especially when an artist isn't willing to work with the label's vision. I'm trying to help you here. Dress more feminine, tone down the provocative image, and you'll sell 20 million albums. Keep doing what you're doing, and you'll be a niche artist with a cult following." Madonna stood up. "When's our next meeting?" Mitchell checked his calendar. "Friday, 2 o'clock. We're meeting with the full marketing team to finalize the album rollout strategy. "I'll see you then," Madonna said, and she walked out of the conference room without another word. What Robert Mitchell didn't know was that Madonna had left that meeting and gone directly to two places. First, to her lawyer, who pulled her contract and confirmed what she already suspected. There was nothing in her agreement that gave Warner Bros. Any control over her image or styling. Second, to the office of Mo Austin, the chairman and CEO of Warner Bros. Records. Mo Austin was a legend in the music industry. He'd signed Jimi Hendrix, The Kinks, Frank Sinatra, and dozens of other artists who'd shaped music history. He was also, critically, the person who'd greenlit Madonna's original contract and had consistently defended her creative freedom against the more conservative executives at the label. Madonna sat in Austin's office and told him exactly what Mitchell had said. She showed him the folder of feminine photos, and then she asked him a very specific question. "Mo, does Warner Bros. Records have a dress code for artists?" "Absolutely not," Austin said. "We don't dictate how artists present themselves. That's literally the opposite of our philosophy. And if a senior executive were pressuring an artist to change their image by implying their contract could be reconsidered if they didn't comply," Austin's face went very still. "That would be a serious problem. That would be a violation of our artist relations policy and potentially a breach of contract on our side." Madonna nodded. "I'm going to the Friday meeting. I'd like you to attend as well, and I'd like you to see something before you decide how to handle this." "What am I going to see?" Austin asked. Madonna smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. "You're going to see exactly what happens when a middle-aged man tries to tell a woman how to dress." Friday arrived. The marketing meeting was scheduled for the large conference room on the executive floor. Robert Mitchell had invited the full team: marketing directors, publicity heads, radio promotion executives, everyone who had a stake in the Like a Prayer album rollout. Madonna arrived at exactly 2 o'clock. And when she walked into that conference room, every single person stopped talking. She was wearing a full suit. Not a woman's suit, a men's three-piece suit perfectly tailored to her body. Pinstripe, sharp, masculine. She wore it with a crisp white shirt, a black tie, and men's Oxford shoes. Her hair was slicked back. She wore no makeup except dark lipstick. She looked like she'd walked out of a 1940s gangster film, if the gangster was a woman who absolutely owned every inch of space she occupied. The outfit was a direct, deliberate, spectacular rejection of everything Robert Mitchell had demanded. Mitchell's face went white, then red. "Madonna, what the hell are you wearing?" Madonna sat down at the head of the conference table, not in her assigned seat, but in the seat usually reserved for the senior executive running the meeting. "A suit," she said calmly. "Is there a problem?" You can't. We had a conversation about this," Mitchell sputtered. "I specifically told you we needed to soften your image, and you show up looking like what?" Madonna interrupted. "Looking like a professional? Looking like I'm taking this business meeting seriously? Looking like someone who deserves to be taken seriously?" "You know exactly what I mean," Mitchell said. "This is the opposite of what we discussed. This is you being deliberately difficult and—" "Excuse me," a voice said from the doorway. Mo Austin walked into the conference room, followed by two other people: Sarah Chen, Warner Brothers' chief legal counsel, and David Morrison, the head of human resources. Mitchell stood up quickly. "Mo, I'm glad you're here. Maybe you can talk some sense into—" "Sit down, Robert," Austin said, and his voice was ice. Mitchell sat. The room had gone completely silent. Every marketing executive, every publicity director, every person in that room could feel that something was very, very wrong. "I want everyone except Robert Mitchell to leave. Now." There was a moment of frozen confusion, and then people started gathering their materials and filing out. The exodus took less than 30 seconds. Soon it was just Austin, Chen, Morrison, Mitchell, and Madonna in the conference room. Austin turned to Mitchell. "On Tuesday, you told Madonna that she needed to dress more feminine, or Warner Bros. Would reconsider her contract. Is that accurate? Mitchell's face had gone from red to pale. I was giving her marketing advice. Is that accurate? Austin repeated. Mitchell looked down. I was trying to help her appeal to a broader market, Mitchell said. I wasn't threatening her. I was explaining the business reality. You told her, Madonna said, her voice cutting through his explanation like a knife, that if I didn't soften my image, Warner might decide the investment wasn't worth the controversy. You said my contract could be reconsidered. You showed me photos of other female artists and told me to dress like them. And you said I needed to grow up my image because I'm 30 years old. Sarah Chen was taking notes. David Morrison was listening with an expression that suggested he heard enough. Did you say those things? Austin asked Mitchell. I was giving her market research, Mitchell said, but his voice had lost all its confidence. I was sharing what radio is saying, what retail is saying. Did Madonna's contract give you authority over her image? Austin asked. No, but as the head of A&R, I have a responsibility to. Did you threaten to recommend terminating her contract if she didn't comply with your image demands? I didn't threaten. I explained that there could be consequences if. That's a yes, Chen said, writing something down. Austin looked at Madonna. What would you like to happen here? Madonna looked directly at Robert Mitchell. I'd like Mr. Mitchell to understand something. I don't dress for radio programmers. I don't dress for retail executives. I don't dress for middle-aged men who think femininity means pastels and soft hair. I'll dress for myself and for the millions of women who've bought my albums specifically because I refuse to be packaged into someone else's idea of what a woman should be. She stood up, smoothing her suit jacket. This suit, Madonna continued, this is me showing you exactly what I think of your advice. You told me to be more feminine. I wore the most masculine outfit I could find. You told me to be softer. I wore pinstripes and a tie. You told me to grow up my image. I dressed like a grown adult who takes herself seriously. She walked around the table until she was standing directly in front of Mitchell. And here's what you don't understand, Mr. Mitchell. I don't work for you. You work for a label that makes millions of dollars from my refusal to be what you think I should be. My refusal to be feminine in the way you want is exactly why girls buy my albums and come to my shows. You're not trying to help me. You're trying to control me. And you threatened my contract to do it. Madonna turned to Austin. I'll be more specific about what I want to happen. I want Robert Mitchell removed from anything related to my career. I want it in writing that no Warner Brothers executive has authority over my image, my styling, or my creative presentation. And I want a formal apology from the label, acknowledging that what happened on Tuesday was unacceptable. Austin nodded. Done. Sarah, draw up the documentation. David, what's your recommendation regarding Robert? David Morrison looked at Mitchell with the expression of someone who'd found something unpleasant on the bottom of his shoe. Immediate termination. What he did violates our artist relations policy, our anti-discrimination policy, and potentially opens us to a breach of contract lawsuit. Wait, Mitchell said, finally finding his voice. You're firing me over this? I've been with Warner for 20 years. I've made this label millions of dollars. I was trying to protect the company's investment. You can't fire me for doing my job. You weren't doing your job, Austin said. Your job is to support artists, not threaten them. Your job is to help them succeed on their terms, not force them into a box that makes you comfortable. Madonna is one of the most successful artists in music history, and she got there by being exactly who she is. You tried to change that by threatening her livelihood. That's not marketing advice, that's intimidation, and it's over. Austin turned to Morrison. Get security. I want him out of the building in the next 30 minutes. Madonna watched as Robert Mitchell was escorted out of the conference room. He tried to maintain some dignity, but there was no dignity left. He'd walked into that meeting as a powerful executive who thought he could control a woman through threats and intimidation. He was walking out as an unemployed cautionary tale. The aftermath was swift and brutal for Mitchell. Within 48 hours, the story had spread through the music industry. Not the official version. Warner Bros. Kept the details confidential. But everyone knew that a senior executive had tried to control Madonna's image and had been fired for it. The message was clear. Don't mess with artists' creative freedom, and definitely don't mess with Madonna. Mitchell tried to find work at other labels. Nobody would hire him. The official reason was always something vague about cultural fit or different priorities. The real reason was that every label knew what he'd done, and none of them wanted the liability or the PR nightmare of hiring someone who tried to intimidate one of music's biggest stars. He ended up leaving the music industry entirely. Last anyone heard, he was working in corporate sales somewhere in the Midwest. His 20-year career in music ended because he thought he could tell Madonna how to dress. Meanwhile, Madonna's Like a Prayer album was released with her creative vision completely intact. The controversial imagery, the provocative styling, the refusal to be softened, all of it stayed. The album debuted at #1, sold over 15 million copies, and is now considered one of the greatest pop albums ever made. More importantly, the incident led to changes in how Warner Bros. And eventually the entire music industry dealt with artist image. Labels couldn't threaten artists' contracts based on styling choices. Image control had to be explicitly written into contracts if it existed at all. And female artists in particular gained stronger protections against executives trying to dictate their appearance. The pinstripe suit Madonna wore to that meeting became iconic. Photos of her in it appeared in fashion magazines, were referenced in think pieces about power dressing, and became a symbol of refusing to conform to gendered expectations. She wore variations of that suit to several high-profile events over the following months, each time making the same statement: I dress for myself, not for your comfort. In a 2015 interview with Vanity Fair, Madonna was asked about the incident. The suit was strategic, she said. I knew exactly what I was doing. He wanted me to be more feminine, so I went full masculine. He wanted soft, I gave him sharp. He wanted me to shrink, I took up more space. The suit wasn't just about defying him. It was about showing every woman watching that you don't have to perform femininity the way men want you to. You can define it yourself. The interviewer asked if she'd felt vindicated when Mitchell was fired. Vindicated? Madonna laughed. Because if Warner had sided with him, I would have known I was working with a label that valued control over creativity. The fact that they fired him immediately told me I was in the right place. Mo Austin understood that you don't make great art by making artists afraid. You make it by protecting their freedom to take risks. She paused. Also, yes, watching him get escorted out by security was satisfying. I'm not going to lie about that. He tried to threaten my career because I wouldn't dress the way he wanted. He got exactly what he deserved. Today, the story is told in music business courses as a case study in artist relations. It's referenced in discussions about gender and power in the entertainment industry. And it's cited whenever someone tries to argue that female artists should be softer or more feminine to succeed. Robert Mitchell tried to control Madonna by threatening her contract. Madonna responded by wearing a suit that screamed, I will never do what you tell me to do, and then getting him fired. It's a masterclass in how power actually works in the music industry, not based on who has the fancy title, but based on who generates the revenue, who has the creative vision, and who the CEO ultimately values more. The lesson is simple. If you're going to try to control a woman by threatening her livelihood and dictating how she should dress, you'd better make sure she needs you more than you need her. Robert Mitchell forgot that lesson. He thought he had the power because he had the title and the office and the 20 years of experience. Madonna taught him otherwise, with a pinstripe suit and a single meeting. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever been told to dress more feminine, or tone it down, or be more appropriate, share this with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more stories about women who refused to shrink, who used fashion as power, and who reminded the world that success comes from being yourself, not from being what others want you to be. And the next time someone tells you how you should dress, remember Madonna in that pinstripe suit. Remember that you don't owe anyone femininity performed on their terms. Remember that sometimes the best response to dress more feminine is to show up in a three-piece suit and take over the meeting.